Good morning, I'm Brian Reagan, this is,
Tyler Kelly.
and we welcome you to Mornings with Brian and Tyler. Hopefully you have your coffee if you drink it. And as we're looking at parables, one of the quick things we want to note about a parable is a parable at the heart of it just technically really means a story. And biblically, parables take something that's physical that most everyone can relate to illustrate or connect and bridge across to a greater spiritual truth. So as we're looking at some of these, you say, well, my Bible heading doesn't have the word parable at the top. Yeah, headings are put there by editors, not by Jesus. So that's all a parable is, though, is a story. And so today we're going to look at the old and new cloth and the old wine and the new wine. And the first one that we'll read is Luke chapter 5, verse 33 through 39. It says, Then they said to him, Why the disciples of John fast often and make prayers, and likewise those of the Pharisees, but yours eat and drink? And he said to them, Can you make the friends of the bridegroom fast while the bridegroom's with him? But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away from them, and they will fast in those days. Then he spoke a parable to them. Now, your heading probably says Jesus is questioned about fasting. But he says, then he spoke a parable to them. No one puts a piece from a new garment on an old one. Otherwise the new makes a tear, and also the piece that was taken out of the new does not match the old. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins, or else the new wine will burst, and the wineskins will be spilled, and the wineskins will be ruined. But new wine must be put into new wineskins, and both are preserved. And no one, having drunk old wine, immediately desires a new, for he says, the old is better. And Tyler, if you will, go on ahead and read yours from Mark chapter 2.
Verses 21 and 22. No one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, or else the new piece pulls away from the old, and the tear is made worse. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins, or else the new wine bursts the wineskins, and the wine is spilled, and the wineskins are ruined. But new wine must be pulled into new wineskins.
All right. And then Matthew chapter 9, verses 14 through 17. And we'll just hit verses 16 and 17. No one puts a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch pulls away from the garment, and the tear is made worse. Nor do they put new wine into old wineskins, or else the wineskins break, the wine is spilled, and the wineskins are ruined. But they put new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved. Now there's a variety of ways that you can read this. And the traditional way of reading this is that everybody is trying to say that Jesus is advocating that he's the new cloth, he's the new material, and that's why he doesn't fit on old garments. And of course, then with the wineskins, they say Jesus is the new wine, and people who are not vintners, not winemakers, frequently are the ones who write commentaries on this, and they say, if you try and ferment wine inside of an old wineskin, it'll blow up. Just so we're clear, if you tried to actually ferment wine inside of a wineskin, the rate of expansion when it is actually in the process of fermentation, it busts the new wineskins too. It will increase up to 800% or more in size as far as the actual space that is needed to accommodate the giving off of the gases of the bacteria that is the leavening agent. It's the reaction of that bacteria with the sugar and and the giving off of those gases is what expands. Well, it expands 800%. Just so we're clear, leather doesn't expand 800% after it's been cured and tanned. Okay? And so you say, well, then what's his point? Well, yeah, it'll burst it, but it bursts it for a different reason. But I want you to see the bigger point, because the key is in Luke's gospel there. Luke chapter 5, verse 39. And Tyler, I want you to have Matthew 19 ready. No one having drunk old wine immediately desires new, for he says the old is better. Now, Matthew 19, I think it's probably about verses 1 through 4. When I tell you to stop, stop.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now it came to pass, when Jesus had finished these sayings, that he departed from Galilee and came to the region of Judea beyond the Jordan. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. Pharisees also came to him, testing him and saying to him, Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for just any reason? And he answered and said to them, Have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female? And said, For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh.
All right. Now, think about this. Was Jesus coming with a new teaching? Now, most everybody says, oh yes, Jesus was coming with new, and that's why they couldn't handle it, and blah, blah, blah. Jesus, the kingdom of the church, is supposed to be a vessel that manifests God's original order for creation. The new patch that they keep trying to sew onto the old garment is not the New Testament. It was the Pharisees who were trying to force their new ways onto the apostles by making them do it their new way that was causing the strife. It wasn't Jesus. Everything Jesus had taught. When he's in the Sermon on the Mount, he says, You've heard it said, but I say to you. You've heard it said, but I say to you. Because Jesus takes us back to the Garden of Eden. Where did sin begin? In the heart of Eve. She saw. It looked good. She says, man, it'll taste good. And it'll make me smarter than God. And I can supersede God. Long before she ever committed sin outside, she'd been deceived into sin inside. And everything Jesus does, he's taking us back to the beginning of creation. The law of Moses was what the Pharisees added to, that it kept ripping apart and causing strife. Which wine is better? Jesus will make another point of that in the miracle at the wedding feast in Cana of Galilee. They'll say everyone serves the best wine first. And then after people have drank enough that, frankly, their taste buds are dulled, then they bring out the garbagey. But he says, you save the best till last. Let me ask you, what would you rather have? The Garden of Eden or the Garden of the Pharisees? But because people have been programmed to read this and go, no, Jesus is new wine and he's looking to put it into new wineskins. The Holy Spirit is wine and oil. The Holy Spirit hadn't changed. Jesus tells them, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. He's always warning them about the Pharisees. The reason that the phony religion of Jesus' day did not work with Jesus is it wasn't because Jesus was the new thing. Jesus was the original thing, and everything since then kept trying to attach itself to it, and it never fit right. Jesus isn't taking us into some new whatever where everything is different. He's trying to take us back to the order that he set up at the foundation of creation so that in his church, heaven on earth can be manifested, as he said in Deuteronomy. That was his goal for Israel. You can, that's fine. If you disagree with me, peachy keen. I know this, 999 out of 1,000 preachers will disagree with me. Easily. I know most Bible professors will disagree with me. And if you read any book on parables, they'll disagree with me. But you show me where Jesus ever tried to establish something new or different that is not trying to take us back to the way that man was in his walk with God in the Garden of Eden. That's why all this new stuff doesn't fit with Jesus, is because Jesus is the original real deal. Do you have some other thoughts on this, Tyler?
No, sir.
All right, with that, we bid you good afternoon. Or good morning.
Morning.